Why do people commit crimes? Some justify their murders with a difficult childhood, bad relationships with parents, and mental illnesses. But what can make a person pour concrete over a 16-year-old alive? Today, we will dissect 3 chilling stories that require attention, but in terms of information content, they are not very long. Therefore, I decided to combine them, 3 girls, 3 stories. So what unites them? Before we begin, YouTube has heavily pushed the channel out of recommendations, and I want to ask each of you to like the video right now and write any comments so that we can break YouTube's algorithms. If you don't like the video or don't want to watch it further, you can remove the like at any time. Remember that you are evaluating not the horrific story, but my work on the video. If you are a new viewer, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell if you are interested in similar stories so as not to miss new videos. Let's transport ourselves to Alliance, which is located in the Zaporizhzhia region, a small, unremarkable city with a population of 14,000 people, where on March 11, 2015, a truly horrific story occurred that spread through all local crime reports. A 16-year-old blue-eyed brunette with beautiful features moved from the provincial Alliance to Zaporizhzhia to enroll in a local university. A girl with prospects and ambitions who dreamed of studying and a stable future. But as often happens with youth, life in the big city captivated the dreamy Susanna, and soon after the move, she changed her plans. Now the girl decided to dedicate herself to a new dream, to become a model or actress in the future. The young girl enrolled in college, became a model, engaged in sports. It seemed she was doing everything to achieve her goal. However, often behind success in such a dream lurk insidious people. Over time, the girl was seen less and less at the university. The adult but still quite naive Susanna found a modeling salon and got a job there. The owner was Marina, a resident of the Dnipropetrovsk region, born in 1994. Marina almost immediately befriended the newcomer and promised her good earnings with such model looks. Other girls who also worked in this salon eventually got close to the new Susanna and began inviting her to parties. It would be logical to realize that such a lifestyle wouldn't lead to anything good. But at 16, no one thinks about that. And very soon, to put it in my own words, the new acquaintances began to corrupt Susanna. The girl was taught to drink, be rude, and flirt with the right men. Gradually, all this started bringing in decent money. Wealthy men began giving her expensive gifts. With her bright appearance and carefree life, the young girl didn't mention her hobbies to her parents, so they were completely confident in her reasonableness and independence. But the parents' faith in the correctness of their daughter's actions soon ended. After some time, Susanna stopped responding. She seemed to have disappeared. All attempts to contact her or her friends were unsuccessful. No one knew where she was. A report was filed with the police, after which lengthy searches began. We met her a year ago. The girl was active, kind, sociable. She was involved in modeling, went to a modeling agency, participated in photo shoots, says a friend of the deceased Susanna Sharkova. Susanna Sharkova rented a room in the Mayakovsky Square area in Zaporizhzhia. On March 11th, the girl disappeared. The search was handled by the Child Search Service. An announcement about the missing teenager was spread on social networks. Moscow was indicated as a possible location for her whereabouts. It was assumed that Susanna might have gone there with a new man. They searched for the girl for a long time, 3 months, but unsuccessfully. Volunteers, law enforcement, friends, and relatives participated in the search. There were no results until a frightening call came to the police. A man reported a body found in his basement. The horrific find piqued interest, and they immediately went to the scene. The man, whose name is not mentioned anywhere, told investigators that he had left his private house for a while and decided to rent it out, so it wouldn't stand empty and would bring in a small income. Since the owner didn't want to rent the house to just anyone, he decided to trust 2 young girls. They seemed very pleasant, decent, and didn't arouse suspicion. However, he didn't dare to check their passports. And when he returned, the girls begged the owner in every way to let them stay a little longer. Therefore, when they finally moved out, the man decided to thoroughly check the house. From the owner's recollections, I looked around, and at the end, I went down to the basement. There was this mound of concrete that was sprinkled over. I decided to just check what was there. Went and got a sledgehammer, hit it, and it started stinking from there. The rotten find turned out to be the girl's body. The unknown woman was missing part of her leg, and the examination established from the fracture of the hyoid bone that the girl had been strangled. Law enforcement reported that the body had been cemented, that the deceased had been under a layer of cement for a long time since the body was very decomposed. She was quickly identified by tattoos on the body. It was Susanna Sharkova. Investigators immediately tried to contact the friends to whom the man had rented the house. As it turned out, by that time, the girls had already left the city. Susanna Sharkova was buried on June 12th in her native Alliance. The modeling agency where Susanna worked closed, and the owner Marina flew to Turkey. It was established that after the disposal of the girl, someone withdrew all the money from her bank card. From the cameras, it was established that the money was withdrawn by a girl in a hood and glasses. Her face wasn't visible, but by her gait, acquaintances recognized Marina in her. A search warrant was obtained for the suspect's apartment, where Susanna's personal belongings, her phone, and computer were soon found. It was also established that Susanna's card held $50,000. The main question arises: where did a 16-year-old girl get such money? According to data from the main directorate of police in the Zaporizhzhia region, to gather evidence and conduct operational search activities, a mutual acquaintance, a certain businessman, and the leg with the tattoo, they separated it from Susanna as proof of the deed's execution. And here comes the most unexpected twist. Who and why needed to order the disposal of a 16-year-old girl? A human rights activist took up this case and managed to find out that the order for Susanna's disposal involved the leader of an organized crime group, now called a businessman. In August, employees of the Zaporizhzhia prosecutor's office detained 2 police officers while handing over a bribe. The detained corrupt officers tried to bribe an investigator in the amount of $1,000 to resolve the issue of not holding the suspect accountable in a resonant case, that same businessman. Later, unknown persons set fire to the human rights activist's car who took up this case. According to the victim, the arson was connected to that same leader of the organized crime group. The bandit took revenge on him for not dropping the accusations against his comrade and continuing the case. According to the man, the arson occurred the day after an interrogation at the authorities. Even on November 10th, I appealed to the prosecutor's office and the regional police with a statement about the attack on me and my car, and they interrogated me only yesterday, that is, a month after the threats. I am sure that such negligence and inaction by the police is not accidental, the man stated. Despite the noise and resonance of this case, no one has yet been punished for the disposal of Susanna. Marina became a Turkish citizen and is likely running her modeling business there, and attracting her is not possible. Easy money doesn't come cheap. Everything has a price. Sometimes the dream of a modeling life with big earnings can have horrific consequences. The desperate mother of the deceased Susanna even turned to the battle of psychics. The psychics, as usual, gave several versions, and you choose the more plausible one. The first version: she was killed by a short man. He is connected to this house and the owner. The second: someone she talked about, some secret. The third version: she was your rival, addressed to the mother of the killed girl. You have one man for 2. You turned away from her. I don't see love in you. In general, you can watch these episodes yourself if you believe. The young 16-year-old girl is no longer alive. The culprits are still free, and now no one is searching for the criminals. The case about Oksana Makar, who was thrown to burn alive. The girl burned all night until passers-by found her in the morning. Oksana managed to tell before her death how it really happened. And another case about Irina Rashkova from Vradiivka, over whom 2 policemen abused and left to die. Links to these videos I will leave in the description. And now we move directly to the city of Ukta, Republic of Komi, where a suitcase was found in the river containing a woman's body. What happened and who placed the body in the suitcase? In November 2018, a friend filed a statement with law enforcement about the disappearance of a 38-year-old resident of Ukta. The applicant reported that her friend did not pick up her son from school after classes, is not responding, her phone is not answering, and establishing her whereabouts is impossible, although she was not planning to go anywhere, and they had joint plans for the evening. It turned out that on November 9th, around 8:20 a.m., Anastasia Shetinina left her apartment on International Naya Street to take her son to school. There, she realized that she had left the boys' change of shoes at home. The woman promised to quickly run home for them and return, but she never came back to school. During lunch, the teacher tried to call the mom. The phone was off. Anastasia Shetnina's son was picked up by her friend. That same evening, the police were informed of the disappearance. From that moment, the woman did not respond, and no one knows where she is. Volunteers from UCTA, as well as the police, joined the search for Anastasia. On the internet, they wrote that the girl wouldn't disappear without reason, as she is raising a young son. Her features: height 165 centimeters, weight 55 kilograms, hair light blonde dyed, length below shoulders, blue eyes. Distinctive features: a bright mole under the right eye. She was dressed in a knitted white hat with a pom-pom, black fitted down jacket with a belt, black boots. She had a black bag with her. Anyone who has information about the whereabouts of the missing or saw her after November 9, 2018, was asked to report. In the apartment lay a scarf. There was disorder. The door was closed incorrectly, not as Nastia usually closed it. She was not in the apartment. We hoped she would come, said the friend of the missing. Volunteers, MCHS employees, and police searched for Anastasia Shetnina throughout the city, but the efforts yielded no results. Operatives found out that the last time the missing person's phone showed signs of life was in the area of the village Vesely Cut near UCTA. Searches there also yielded nothing. A clue was obtained thanks to a surveillance camera. At 8:01, Anastasia left the house with her son. After 8 minutes, a man with a suitcase in his hands approached the house. After standing on the street a bit, he entered the house. After a few minutes, Anastasia returned. At 8:40, a white VAZ with a female driver approached the house. The man with the clearly heavy suitcase descended and put it in the car, after which they drove away. At the exit from the yard, he got out to an Opel car and handed something to the woman behind the wheel. Both cars drove away. The VAZ headed towards Sosnogorsk. The woman who was driving the white car was not found immediately. The VAZ was registered to another person. Luck helped. Operatives found the car in one of UCTA's districts. When they checked the car, a girl came out of the entrance. From the video, it was Olga Kuzminik. Unfortunately, the interrogation led to nothing. There was no evidence. The women reported nothing unusual. A month passed, then a second. The hope of finding the missing alive grew smaller. And on May 4th, a new turn in this case. One of the rescue squad employees who participated in the woman's search since November discovered a strange find that was not related to work. The man was visiting his parents in Porozhky, returning home on a motorboat. Around 11 o'clock, about 6 kilometers upstream, he noticed a large travel suitcase floating in the middle of the river. The rescuer immediately thought it might be exactly the suitcase everyone had been looking for so long. He approached it and towed it to shore. At 2:30 p.m., an investigative group arrived at the site. By the way, the suitcase was found 60 kilometers from the presumed place of the woman's disappearance. They began working on versions. Of course, the first suspect was the ex-husband Alexei Shketnin, but without a body, nothing could be proven. No one saw him. There was no evidence. But after the found body, the man was detained. He couldn't deny for long and began reconstructing the events of that day when Anastasia disappeared. Then it became clear that her disappearance was carefully planned. As it turned out later, on November 9, 2018, after Anastasia, having seen her son off to school, returned home, her ex-husband was waiting for her there. The man entered the apartment with Anastasia, where he strangled her. After that, he placed her body in a suitcase and threw it into the river. One of the accomplices, 19-year-old Olga Kuzminik, drove the man to the bridge from which he dropped the suitcase into the river. The second accomplice, Marina Kozlova, disposed of the phone at that time, which she threw away in the area of the Vodny settlement. Anastasia's body was searched for a long time. Divers and rescuers were involved. However, it was found only on May 4, 2019, in the Izma River in the area of the village of Porozhky. And the child, and the cohabitant Marina Kozlova was aware of his affairs. The motive for the crime was clear. The reason for the disposal was court disputes due to a complicated divorce. In addition, the man did not pay alimony, for which Anastasia held him accountable, after which the man was searched for by court bailiffs. Also, the question of the apartment remained unresolved. They took a mortgage on it while married and were supposed to pay together, but only Anastasia lived there. Also, during the investigation, Olga Kuzminik showed the bridge from which the likely criminal dropped Anastasia's body and the trash bins into which they threw it. Alexei Shketnin and his cohabitant Marina Kozlova, who was behind the wheel of the Opel in the day of the disposal, denied everything during detention. Marina Kozlova explained that Alexei Shketnin asked her to throw away the phone. The second possible accomplice of the disposal, she allegedly knew nothing. Meanwhile, at the beginning, the relationship between Dunai and Alexei was very romantic. They met at Ukta State University. Nastya got pregnant. The man publicly proposed to her on his knees. The relationship deteriorated after the wedding. Alexei immersed himself in his interests, began raising his hand to his wife. It all ended with the woman deciding to file for court. This embittered her husband even more. He began saying that his wife had disgraced him in front of other people. The court disputes finally ruined the relationship between the spouses. He planned how he would take her life, prepared a noose from wire, a suitcase, followed the woman. In the end, everything ended in death. On August 17th, the Ukta City Court found guilty the 37-year-old resident of Ukta, Alexei Shketnin, and his accomplice Marina Kozlova in the deprivation of life of Anastasia Shetnina. The ex-husband was sentenced to 15 years in a strict regime correctional colony. His accomplice, 7 years of imprisonment to be served in a general regime correctional colony. Olga Kuzminik received 2 years probation, as the court established that she really didn't know about the disposal and immediately helped the investigation. In the appellate complaints, the convicted and their defenders asked to cancel the verdict of the Ukta City Court of the Republic of Komi from August 17th of that year, to acquit them due to non-involvement in the commission of the crime. The Supreme Court of the Republic of Komi left the verdict from August 17th of the 20th year unchanged. Appellate complaints without satisfaction. To deprive one's child of a mother and father because of debts and an apartment, 3 destroyed fates. If you watched up to this point, then perhaps my work still deserves your like if you haven't put it yet. And we right now move to makeup, where in 2019, a 16-year-old girl went out for volleyball training, and she was found 6 months later buried halfway home. What happened in this story covered in darkness. On the morning of May 25, 2019, nothing foreshadowed trouble. Makeup schoolchildren were preparing for the last bell. Final touches, curls, cosmetic pencil, powder, dress, and suddenly alarming notifications. On May 24th, Daria Shopina left school and did not return home. Fear, anxiety, shock. She, like all children, said goodbye to her parents, told her plans for the day, and went to school. What went wrong? This will remain unknown. The girl left school long before the end of classes. Why? The reason is unclear. Cameras and video recorders tracked her path, which breaks off at the entrance to the city park. The girl was captured by an outdoor surveillance camera after she left her lyceum. 2 medical college students followed her, but they didn't remember the girl and couldn't provide any valuable information. What will happen to her next, we don't know yet. Features: height 165 to 170 centimeters. The girl has light brown and slightly wavy hair, gray eyes. Distinctive features: a bright mole under the right eye. She was dressed in dark pants, white shirt, and blue jacket. She had a backpack with her. Unhappy parents of Dasha, Dad Andre and Mom Irina, teachers at the Republican State University. On that same day, they filed a statement with the police. Later, hundreds of indifferent people joined the search. Absolutely all acquaintances and friends of Dasha speak of her as a balanced, well-mannered, and friendly girl. To do something that would become a misfortune for her parents. This is an emergency of massive proportions. Entire groups were created on social networks where they talked about Dasha and reported information about the course of searches. Hundreds of people voluntarily, by the call of conscience, went out to search for the schoolgirl. The searches were led by the Search and Rescue Squad of the Krasnodar Territory, Liza Alert. People changed, guides changed, but searches continued and continued until the last. Units of people remained indifferent. In the search for Dasha, more than 400 people day and night took and completed tasks to search for the child. Heat, fatigue, despair did not weaken the grip. The headquarters located in the area of the shooting club of the Zayton of the Belia River in the city of Makop worked around the clock. Kilometers were covered, the number of orientations posted, they were on every tree, buildings, shop windows, in public transport. Any clue, a scrap of clothing, a phone. Absolutely all information collected by searchers was immediately sent for examination, but all in vain. Social networks were bursting with anxious posts from parents. They addressed her through them. The investigation processed 11 versions of Dasha's disappearance. Her father, a teacher at the Adygia State University, Andrei Chopin, posted photos of his daughter every day on his pages with a plea for help. Dashenka, there is hope that you can read this. Dad, Mom, sisters, all relatives beg you to return home. For us, the main thing is that you are alive and well. We love you and can't express in words how much we worry. Don't be afraid. Come home, wrote Andrei Chopin on May 27th on his social media page. Everyone was very alarmed but hoped to the last to find Dasha safe and sound. Details were clarified for a very long time. A year later, namely on May 25, 2020, after Dasha's disappearance, law enforcement reported the completion of the investigation of the case. Dasha Shapina was deprived of life. The investigative committee for the Republic of Adygia reported that a suspect in the disposal of the teenage schoolgirl was detained. A previously convicted 47-year-old local resident who, under the pressure of evidence, began giving confessions. The man stated that he committed the disposal for the purpose of robbery. He wanted to take the phone, but the girl resisted, and he inflicted a fatal blow. Processing billing information and call details led to the executioner. The schoolgirl's body was found on November 5th, 6 months later, due to carefully hidden traces of the crime and difficult terrain. This was reported by the head of the investigative committee of the Russian Federation for the Republic of Adygia. According to him, the girl's body was buried not far from the crime scene between two reinforced concrete slabs and covered with a pile of construction debris, the amount of which was constantly increasing. Law enforcement, together with rescuers and volunteers, had to manually dig through tons of waste. At a tree 5 meters from the body, the criminal buried the victim's belongings. The clothes on the girl were only one blouse, and nearby buried things by which relatives identified the girl. The criminal had previously been convicted of disposal over a woman and theft. He was released from the colony in March 2012 on parole. He lived in Makop, but after depriving the girl of life, he moved to the Tulsky settlement of the Makop district, where during a search, the missing Daria Shapina's smartphone was seized. They also found 9 mobile phones from him, one of which belonged to Dasha. According to the media, according to the investigation's version, the criminal collected scrap metal on the riverbank where Dasha happened to be walking. He attacked her, abused her, took valuables, and then strangled her. The native road home led the girl to death. During the search for Dasha, she turned 17. She would have finished school and been happy, but fate decided otherwise, and many will remember this tragedy. Since 12 years, this is the first such large incident that the small city of Makop will constantly remember. The day after it became known that Dasha was found dead, her father published another post. Today I can't write that the search continues. Dasha's body was found. There will still be an examination, but from the things, everything is clear. My joy won't return. Thank you to everyone who, very many, a deep bow to you. It says in the message. In the capital of Adygia, Makop, a verdict was passed on the executioner of the 16-year-old schoolgirl Dasha Shapina. On July 15, 2020, the Supreme Court of Adygia passed a verdict on the 47-year-old resident of Makop, Andrei Kurnikov. The court sentenced the recidivist to life imprisonment with serving the sentence in a special regime colony. He disposed of his daughter. I have nothing left. Today I was not at the court, but I know the result, commented the girl's father Andrei Chopin. It's impossible to look without tears at the smiling girl who could live and delight her parents. In the pinned comment, There will be a poll where you can write which of the 3 stories touched you the most and why. Easy money doesn't come cheap. Everything has a price. Sometimes the dream of a modeling life with big earnings can have horrific consequences. The desperate mother of the deceased Susanna even turned to the battle of psychics. The psychics, as usual, gave several versions, and you choose the more plausible one. The first version: she was killed by a short man. He is connected to this house and the owner. The second: someone she talked about some secret. The third version: she was your rival, addressed to the mother of the killed girl. You have one man for 2. You turned away from her. I don't see love in you. In general, you can watch these episodes yourself if you believe. The young 16-year-old girl is no longer alive. The culprits are still free, and now no one is searching for the criminals.